Senator, it means that those who are saying that these protests are being sponsored by political interests, in fact, the truth may be that they are off the mark, and that if they are not on target, they may not know when the tide changes. Do you think, because you've said that some of these youths are in the street, not representing any political interests, they are out in the street protesting what they think is not right for them and from their nation. Is that to say, really, that there are no political interests involved?
Well, everyone has political interest, but the interest which these young people have is the interest of their future that has been destroyed by people who are in a position of power. From the president to the ministers to the governors, all of them, 98% of them attended public schools from primary, secondary to university level, paying almost nothing. Now go to a typical primary and secondary school in your locality and see how it has been destroyed over the years simply because people in the position of power have the resources that they have accrued from the national treasury to take their children and give them the best of education in any part of the world. Keep that aside. 98% of people in the position of power, their mother either gave birth to them in their homes or in public hospitals. Because in the last 40, 50, 60 years, how many private hospitals do we have in Nigeria? But now go to a typical private hospital, public hospital, and see what you have there. Recently, I was in Bauchi. I was invited for an event. And then the head of a public school was delivering a speech. And he said, government can no more build hostels. Government can no more give scholarships. So what can government do? You attended a public university, lived in a public hostel, and now you find yourself in a position of power. You cannot build more hostels for the generation that succeeded you. You went to public school and was given a scholarship by your state government, and you are in a position of power. You cannot give scholarship to the children of the poor. Now, you cannot build a nation when you rob Peter to pay Paul. If the system is that of robbing Peter to pay Paul, then they should only expect patriotism from Paul, not from Peter. So if this country will experience peace and stability, then we must ensure social justice and equity. And these teeming young people who are sitting down, we don't know. This is a cake of gunpowder. This is a time bomb for our country. If you think that because you have 4 or 5 children that you have educated well and then you don't care. But those are your children, which country are they going to live in? They're still going to live in this country here. And I've said it repeatedly that if we want Nigeria to work, then we must all be given that sense of belonging. Yes, I belong to Nigeria. Whatever part of the country I come from, I can be seen to be like any other person from any part of the country. But you can see what is happening today. The only job that needs no connection for you to get is the army, because of bandits in the northwest and the Boko Haram in the northeast. If you apply to the army, the Air Force, and the Navy, they will happily employ you because you are going to go and fight. But some of the most prestigious jobs in government are being occupied by people in the position of authority. And this cuts across the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. And will these young people whose future has been destroyed, will they simply fold their arms and see? Look at what is happening. When a marriage is taking place, it is the daughter of Emir A getting married to the minister, the son of Minister B, or the daughter of Senator A getting married to the son of Governor B. Because you can see they are even creating a dynasty of privilege, while you and your children, the poor ones here, are being consigned to a dynasty of poverty and want. So I believe that if Nigeria has to work, we must entrench social justice. Continue to reform the police. If you like, make every police a saint. It does not matter. Once the wealth of this country is in the hands of few people, every 2-3 years they bring a list. Hey, this person, Alaji this, he has this oil well. Chief Dad, he has this oil well. They are just sharing everything for themselves. They share contracts. They share oil well. They share procurement. They share everything. They even share their daughters and their sons to themselves. So the question is that these frustrated young people have nothing to fear. There's nothing to fear. Now, you tell them to vote, they voted, and the person they voted with the hope of change is worse than the one they removed. This is what's happening in Nigeria today. And the preoccupation is say we are fighting corruption. Okay, we're fighting corruption. And then it comes to the point. Some few years ago, the president was in Dubai and said he was going to bring the list of Nigerians who have properties in Dubai. That nobody heard of that again. They said Nigerians have bought a lot of properties in London. They are going to publish the list of that. No list came out. Because by the time you are a president and you are given list and you saw that 40 or 50% of people in that list are your loyalists and the other 50 are your critics, you have two options. Either to publish everything, point blank, or you simply just cool off. And this is what is happening. So now, when you have this kind of country that serves very few, the youth must protest. In fact, it is a sin to stop this protest. This protest should continue until the Nigerian political establishment learn its lessons. So it's not with the police. The police is not simply the issue. And even this police reform, they have been talking about it for the last. I read a young man in the social media. He said he's been hearing of this police reform since 2015. I said I have been hearing about it since 1980 when Sunday Adewusi was the IG of police. So you can see that's about 40 years. So it is now when people are on the street that they want to reform the police. Which reform are you reforming the police for, if I can use that language? Look at their barracks. See Falomo. Whichever state you come from, just walk into police barrack and see. In the last 20 to 30 to 40 years, there is nothing significantly that has changed as far as Nigerian police is concerned. The only noticeable change, I think it happened during Hindro's time, where their uniform was changed from complete black to the one they have a gray and a black. Apart from that, nothing. The police still remains the same. And whether, even if you have changed them, that will not change anything. Police are not the governors. Police are not the legislators. Police are not the ministers. They represent They protect a class. They protect a class, and that class is the problem of Nigeria.
Distinguished Senator, let us head into a different issue that we think is also of concern to this country. I'm sure that you know of the World United Nations report, which positioned Nigeria about 2 years ago or 3 as the poverty capital of the world. Permit me to rephrase that report. It might be true if Nigeria is taken as a basket, as a single basket. But the fact is that all the indices used by the UN to arrive at that report played out fully in northern Nigeria. I might therefore safely suggest that indeed northern Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world. Do you believe that, like what happened in 1945 at the end of the Second World War, that northern Nigeria needs a Nigerian model of Marshall Plan to be able to help it out of this poverty? Will you agree to play the politics that does not need partisanship but requires national understanding for this nation to aggregate resources in our own enlightened self-interest to solve the poverty challenge in northern Nigeria?
Thank you for this question. Well, first and foremost, I have problem accepting that statistics that the North is the poverty capital of the world. I don't think that is correct, because I've been to countries, many countries in Africa. I've seen the poverty in Niger Republic, in Chad, in Mali, in Burkina Faso, in Uganda, Central African Republic, Democratic Republic of Congo, Malawi. I don't think that this is true, but we can see that the north is poorer than the southern part of Nigeria. But before I continue also, I think the South should not deceive themselves, always taking the narrative that the North is poorer than the South, because the poor people that are in the South are simply being marginalized. And the picture that is being given is that the South is, everybody in the South is rich and everyone in the North is poor, which is not true. Poverty is in all parts of Nigeria, from Calabar to Ibadan, everywhere. But there are different kinds of poverty. The poverty that we are talking about in the North is the one in which the region has the resources to be better than it is now, but it has by itself become the problem of itself. For the 60 years of our political independence, many of those that have held political offices, the highest office in the land, are from northern Nigeria. And they had the opportunity to develop the agricultural base of the North, explore the mineral resources of the North, upgrade its educational standard, and industrialize the region. If the foresight and the dreams of the likes of Sadona of Sokoto and Aminu Kano was the compass for development of northern Nigeria, we could not have been where we are today. But over the years, we have had leaders who have not just destroyed the North, but have also retarded the development of the southern part of Nigeria. Where did we get this wrong? You see, the political establishment in the North have capitalized on the ignorance of the people, manipulate them using sectionalism, religion, and ethnicity, and build a wall of defense and solidarity around themselves. and made it impossible for the people to use their sense of reasoning and question power. It is our own that is in power. We must protect him. We must preserve him. We must support him. And as such, if you have that kind of insurance, you don't need to perform. You don't need to deliver, because your position and seat is guaranteed by a sentiment, by a prejudice, which you have built over the years. So religion and ethnicity has been used to enslave the people in the North and deny them the capacity and the ability and the right to question power when it goes wrong. So, the poor, the northern poor, have not benefited from the wealth of the Nigerian state. I have not seen, out of every 10 poor people in the north, 9.5 will not tell you, don't know the name of the person in his state that has an oil wealth in Niger Delta. They don't know. So they live by struggle and survival, but because their own thinking and conscience is being controlled by a sentiment, so it becomes impossible for them to question those in the position of authority. That is why you will see that it is most likely a typical northerner can come out to the street and protest on religious and sectional issues than on issues that borders on his life, on his survival, and that of his family, and that of his children. When you have an uprising against a government, let's say on the issue of fuel price increase, it is so easy to convince a northerner not to come out and protest, because the protest is coming from the south and is done against the president, who is his brother and who is someone that comes from his own religion or section.
No matter how he suffers from the policy.
No matter how. So this is how it is. So the political elites there have used this as a weapon to clamp the people down and keep them in their own perpetual servitude and control. It is only, and why it has been so is because of what became of the politics of northern Nigeria right from the First Republic to date. There are two political spectrums in northern Nigeria: the revolutionary socialist side of Aminu Kano and the conservative side of Sardauna of Sokoto. And it is the conservative side that produced the first leadership and controlled the affairs of the state. So the thinking, the ideological thinking of those leaders of that time usually vibrates within their own followers. That is why the people from the southwest, you can see their thinking, their ideological bent and thinking on horizon is from that of Awolowo, even though you have some dissent. And that of the southeast are of a pan-Nigerian outlook, though the southeast are divided into two. There are those who think like Zik and those who think like Ojukwu. Now, in the general context, I'm trying to show you that the North can be one of the most prosperous part of Nigeria and the whole of West Africa if a number of things is done. First of all, the immediate issue is to address the problem of terrorism and extremism. And this extremism is not simply about members of Boko Haram or the Shiite, as people will say. A simple comment on social media you can detect extremists and fanatics. There are so many of them. Second issue is education. The need to invest in education in the north, upgrade public education system, get more people in school and make it possible for them to read and write and be able to challenge authority. The third aspect is investment in agriculture and soil and mineral resources. If those two areas have serious investment, the north now can even be more prosperous than the south. Because if you are to divide the land space in Nigeria, 70% of Nigeria's land is northern Nigeria. It's 30% that is southeast and southwest and south-south. Now with such land, and there is no part of this country where you cannot plant a corn and for it to germinate. So the poverty, the penury, and the destitution in northern Nigeria is self-inflicted, and it has become a weapon that is being used by the political establishment in northern Nigeria to control people. And by doing that, they are retarding the progress of the country. The solution to it is the need to restructure this country so that we don't again wait for free money coming from oil from Niger Delta. We all now have to think inward. What do we do? What should we do to make money? You can grow corn in Sokoto, you can grow corn in Katsina, you can grow corn in Zamfara, you can grow corn in Kaduna State. Why can't we grow corn and supply to Kellogg's in Europe or United States for cornflakes? So we need a leadership, not the kind of leadership we are having today. We need a leadership with a vision. When I say leadership with a vision, I mean a leadership that has a manual of what to do with power. When Murtala Muhammad came, he ruled Nigeria for 6 months. But before he assumes office, he already has a template of what to do.
So because he also believed in the left, intellectual left.
Yes. So he knows the problem. And then you come into office in 2015. We spent about 4 to 5 months without ministers. Some of the programs that ought to have been done in the first tenure have been done now. And we keep on piling debt upon debt. We are reaching a point that we are going back to where we come from in 2004. A Nigerian leader we need is one that is pan-Nigerian. One that does not see himself as a southerner or northerner. One whose major focus is development and prosperity, progress and future of Nigeria. One that will restructure this country and make it possible for all parts of the country to contribute to national development. So I believe that we cannot achieve this without having the kind of desired leaders we have. But most people we elect into office either people that reflect our ethnic, religious, or sectional interests or sentiment. And that is not going to be of use to Nigeria of 21st century.
Well, you're watching the Signature Show on AIT. We take a break now, and when we return, 2 more interesting issues we'll discuss with Shehu Sani. Stay with us.
This is SignatureTV.org. Breaking the news. Following the news. Analyzing the news. 247 round the clock. All on the go. SignatureTV.org. News in your pocket.
Well, let me welcome you back. Distinguished Senator, Permit me to return to the matter of poverty. If you walk Nigerian streets in Abuja, in Kano, in Jos, in Katsina, you'll be confronted with the sight of Nigerians begging. It's not just begging. Young people, 3 years, 5 years, who seem to live their lives in the street. Some derisively say they are born in the street and they grow up in the street. And majority of them are from northern Nigeria. I don't have the exact statistics, but preponderantly, these beggars are Hausas. You can hardly find an idle or unemployed Fulani person. You can hardly find a Fulani woman who is begging. You can hardly find an unemployed Fulani person. You find them as mayors, you find them as district head, you find them as intellectuals, PhDs, ministers, permanent secretaries, well-off Nigerians. Why is it that it is the Hausa person in northern Nigeria who begs?
Well, I think this is a question which we try to ask ourselves. For those of us who are Hausa Fulani,
Let me interrupt you.
That,
Let me interrupt you.
yeah,
Senator.
yes.
Is there any ethnic group in Nigeria called Hausa Fulani?
Yeah, when they said Hausa Fulani, it means that part of your family is Hausa and part is Fulani. We have people who are purely Hausas, and we have people who are purely Fulanis. And when you have, maybe your mother is Fulani, your father is Hausa, then you have to say Hausa Fulani. So it is, to my own thinking, that is how it's supposed to be. But now, the general identity of people in northern Nigeria, or most people know that, is going to be Hausa Fulani, in order to make sure that both two ethnic groups are represented. But they are distinctive ethnic groups. Fulani have their language and culture, and the Hausas also have their language and culture separate from, but they are all brought together by history and by religion. And the fact that for centuries intermarriages have made it possible for beautiful Fulanis to also share part of their beauty and handsomeness to the Hausas. So that is why you will see that Hausas are purely African and stockish Africans. But in Fulanis, you can see some Asiatic features in them. So this is just the difference. So back to your question now, I will say that the idea of begging by the Hausas come from a particular religious sect within Islam in the north that has no issues with begging and simply even indirectly endorses it. And let me tell you in layman term how you can understand here. Just like in Christendom, you have the Catholics, the Presbyterians, the different denominations you have. So also in Islam, you have the Sunni, you have the Shiite, you have the Tijaniya, the Tariqa, and others. So the sect which the Hausas, the religious sect, that Islamic religious sect that dominates Hausa land, the clerical establishment there now operate what they call madrasas, which is the local Islamic school, where you send your child from one part of the country to another to go and learn. And if the teacher naturally has no job doing other than teaching them, And now he sends the children to go and beg, and then by begging, they give him some part of the money, and also they keep the money for themselves. So that religious sect within Islam endorses the begging culture, and then it also dominates Hausa land. But with the expansion of the Sunni, and then people like late Sheikh Abubakar Muhammad Gumi, by his sermons, by his preaching, he now tried to did everything within his lifetime to show how un-Islamic it was for people to beg. Then they now set up modern schools. It's going to be like, the schools are like our own Western schools, but they purely teach Islamic. And he also prescribed that children should go to school with their own parents. So why houses beg has to do with the fact that a religious sect within Islam dominates Hausa land, and they also support that. And Fulanis are not within that religious sect. The jihad of Damfodio in the early 1800s was founded not just, it wasn't about converting idol worshippers to Islam, but it's also about purifying Islam from un-Islamic practices. And that is why they embark on a war. And in most Hausa lands today, the emirs are Fulanis as a result of that war. And in Bidda, they are Nupes, but the emir, the Ezunupe, are Fulanis. In Kano, they are Hausas, but the emirs are Fulani. In Zaria, they are Hausas, but the emirs are Fulani. In Gombe, in everywhere, except in Borno area, where they have an empire that was able to counter the Fulani jihadis at that very time there, and then preserve its own territory. So why Hausas beg simply has to do with the fact that a religious sect within Islam dominates Hausa land, and it encourages that. But now things are changing.
Now things are changing. Distinguished Senator, let me ask you, is the Hausa person a landless Nigerian?
It cannot be a landless Nigeria because he has the largest expanse of land in Nigeria.
Is he in control of his land?
He is in full control, even invading other lands that are not Hausas.
Why I ask the question is this.
Yes.
I understand, please educate me if I'm wrong, that this land that is supposed to be for the Hausa population, the indigenous Hausa person, are indeed in the control of the emirs. Am I right?
Well, before the coming of colonialists, the emirs have a very strong authority over land matters. But with the defeat of the Sokoto Caliphate and also the full colonization of Nigeria, laws are made and the powers of the emirs were seriously reduced. And now governors control the land, and though some land still, the emirs have some authority over them, but still land is about the control of governors. So it's not, it used to be that, but now it is not the case.
Now, why I'm asking the question, there has been this conversation that one of the reasons why the Hausa person begs, apart from religion, is because he is a dispossessed person and has no heritage to the land. And there's no system that apportions him freely land to work on.
No, it's not true. If you look at the whole of the southeastern part of Nigeria, it can fit into 2 states in northern Nigeria. And the lands belong to Hausa people. So they can farm. I can tell you that the negative aspect of it simply has to do with the religious ingredients of it, as far as this begging thing is concerned. You don't see, you hardly see people from the Sunni side who are involved in that. Yeah, it is always from this side, and they felt that it is one of the conflicts that is going on. People from some of these sects still believe that despite being Muslims, but some of our African cultures and tradition need to be preserved. But the other side are saying, if you are a Muslim, you should be a Muslim, and there should be no bringing impurities into it. So this is it. Apart from that, it's not about land, and because you can have a family that has a land and a farm that will leave that land and send their children to as far as Yobe State or Adamawa State to go there and learn the Quran. But they don't have job to do there and they have to beg. And so it is something that for years northern leaders have not really taken it seriously. And not just seriously, they were afraid of confronting that religious establishment that promotes, propagates, and supports the culture of begging.
Distinguished Senator, let me take you now over to an issue you were once a champion of. Can I begin it this way? Can Nigeria shoot its way with the boots and the guns? Can Nigeria shoot its way out of the present challenge of insecurity? Or is there a need for either outright paradigm shift or a combination of options?
Well, the part of the country that faces the most serious challenge to peace and order is northern part of Nigeria. In the northwest, particularly in the states of Katsina, Sokoto, Zamfara, Kaduna, and part of Niger State, they are virtually under the control of bandits that have been killing people, kidnapping people. And this wave of kidnapping has seriously destroyed lives and livelihood. Many people couldn't go to farms, and many of them, villagers, have sold their farms and houses to pay ransom to kidnappers. So the poverty there is growing because of the activities of these bandits. And funeral and mourning has become a daily affair in parts of Niger State, Niger East, and in Kaduna State, the whole of southern Kaduna is a danger, and in the central, Igabi, Chukun, Birjengwari local government, and Giwa, parts of Giwa local government are under control by in Katsina, almost 8 local governments are controlled by bandits, and some few local governments in Sokoto State. And in the northeast, you can see that Adamawa, Borno, and Yobe State are still facing the problems of insurgency, terrorists attacking and killing innocent people, attacking sub-targets, unleashing mayhem is the order. And in the north central, TVs and Jukuns from Taraba and Benue State have been killing each other. An ethnic problem in southern Kaduna and Plateau State is still a problem. Kidnapping in Nasarawa does even reach to parts of Abuja now. So if you put this into context, you will see that this is as a result of the failure of governance to address what needs to be addressed at its budding stage before it rises to this level. If we have a government in the last 10 years that has projected problems of insecurity, we couldn't have been where we are today. And I believe the solution to it now is, first of all, we need to restructure this country and make it possible for people to protect their lands. And then we need to have a modern police and modern army that will exploit technology to fight crimes and criminalities. It is so unfortunate that we spend billions of naira, hundreds of millions of dollars in the name of security. I've seen the 2021 budget. Security is at the highest in terms of allocation. But that has been the case in the last 3 to 4 years. But that has not translated to security and safety for our people. Kidnappers in Kaduna State now after kidnapping a wife or children, they call you with a phone and transact with you, and you take money to them. So where is technology that kidnappers can make calls and get away with it freely? Without phone calls, they can't be able to kidnap or to collect ransom. It's just impossible. So how can you say that a nation like Nigeria, we cannot protect our land? Algeria is 2.5 size of Nigeria, but you can't kidnap any person there and get away with it within the next 48 hours. Why is Nigeria becoming a failing state? Because we are failing. Once the government, the authority, has lost control of its own spaces in terms of ensuring governance and order, then the nation is edging towards being categorized as a failed state. And this is what is happening to our country today.
In other words, we may not get out of this insecurity purely by guns and boots.
There are a lot of things that need to be done.
What are the options?
The use of technology is very important for intelligence gathering and also for actions in terms of taking them out. And then we also need to involve the locals. If you have one local government now that has security challenge and you are recruiting policemen and soldiers, why don't you recruit them from that local government and send them to fight to be able to combat those criminalities? That is very important. And then we also need to secure our borders. Our borders are very porous. And people come in and go out anytime, anyhow. That need to be well protected in order for us to secure this country. If we don't do that, there is no way that we are going to be free from where we are. You ask yourself, why is it only in Nigeria that you have kidnapping? You don't have it in Benin Republic, you don't have it in Niger Republic, that are our neighbors. It's only Nigeria. It all has to do with governance and the kind of security. You can't kidnap any person in Niger. Nigeria is 1.5 size of Nigeria. You cannot kidnap one person without you being detected in the next 48 hours. And the budget of the whole of Niger Republic is no more than the budget of Delta State. And the pay for the police and the army of Niger Republic is almost 20% is what is being paid to the member of Nigerian police or Nigerian army. So it all has to do with, you say, increase their salary, increase this, increase that. You keep on increasing as long as you don't have a leadership that is determined and a security agency that is proactive and that will use technology. And then look at how they do it now. If you are a critic of government, they know how to monitor your calls. And if you are involved in Yahoo, they know money that is transferred to you. But when it comes to the issue of people who are killing innocent Nigerians, they have no clue on what to do about it. So where is the missing link is what we are going to have to ask ourselves and then have answers to.
Distinguished Senator, the earlier part of this submission seems to suggest to me that you could cast your vote for state police.
I have my reservations on state police, but if it's going to be the solution to the problem of Nigeria, so be it. My own issues with state police is that it should not be like state INECs, where the ruling party gets all the tickets, they win all the position, and the governor of the state determines who is the winner. If you give governors control of the police, the major focus is not simply going to be the criminals, but their political opponents. I can't imagine myself in Kaduna State with a governor of Kaduna State in control of the police force. I may have to change the state to another state with my family. No matter what it is, there need to be some level of control from the federal level. If you have state police in Anambra, somebody like Otto Eze cannot go there and stay. If you have state police in Imo State, Ihedioha and Rochas Okocha cannot go back to their homes. If you have state police in Enugu State, the opponents of the governor cannot go there. If you have state police in all these states, the critics, people who are criticizing the governors, can't go back and stay. So we need to understand this. And then if there is need to address those issues, we do it, and then we can move to where we need to move to.
Distinguished Senator, I'm going to close this conversation with a question on expectation and hope. Do you think that Nigeria will ever redeem its potential as a model nation for the black race?
You see, we are such a miraculous and terrific country. We have crises, we have problems, we have turbulence, we have storms. But we are also very good in navigating through them and emerging out of them. We have always rise out of the ashes and from the bones as far as this Nigeria is concerned. And that is a miracle in us. And I believe that with a leadership that is patriotic, committed, dedicated, corrupt-free, one in which will give every Nigerian a sense of belonging and have focus and compass on where the nation will go, we will reach there. And we should know that there is no nation in the world that has no problem. Even if you cut this nation into states, we still have problems. If we go our separate ways, southwest, there will be problem within themselves. Southeast, there will be problems, south, and northern part of Nigeria. And almost 80% of nations of the world are creations of other people, not people from that kind of thing. America is a colonial creation. Why have they prospered and we have not? Why? The same thing with Canada. And you know the history of Australia, where the people who were shifted from UK to Austria, now they are a developed country. So in every way you put it, you see that you will find out that it is about leadership, it's also about people. Let us for once resolve together to address the structural default of Nigeria. And then from there, we can move on. But Nigeria will survive on the condition that you have a leadership that is dedicated, committed, and that can sacrifice itself for the nation. Not ones that are only there for themselves and their families and their children.
Well, here we draw the curtain on this conversation this Sunday. Of course, you know that the conversation never ends. And this afternoon, we've been conversing with distinguished Senator Sani, a progressive thinker. I said at the beginning, I didn't ask him a question when he would decide to engage the northern intellectual class and insist that certain issues we raised this afternoon will be of national conversation. But I know someday we'll find a time to do that. Distinguished Senator, thank you for coming to the program.
Thank you for having me here.
My name remains Mwabuez Njoko. Let's meet next Sunday. Good afternoon.